Alright guys, who is ready to try out some new products with me today? I've got a bunch of stuff from my recent haul that we're going to try together, a lot of it for the first time. I've been saving everything up to do it on camera, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I almost talked myself out of filming again today because I have pimples. I just feel kind of blah. Well, I've been feeling like that, and I forced myself. I'm like, no excuses, get up, film, do your makeup. That makes you feel so much better. It's fun for me, it's therapy, so here I am. We're all human, okay? I've got a list of products, and what I've done is I went through my haul and I picked different rounds. I'm going to do like different rounds of trying to makeup. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm also going to use this as my day 3 foundation. So today's foundation will be the Iconic London Super Smoother Blurring Skin Tint. And I have not tried that yet, so it's also testing the makeup. We're going to kind of combine them together. I've got a bunch of other products, and I'm excited to film. So let's do it. I will say, I got a couple new products that I'm like really antsy to use on camera, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to put these further back in the list because I want to use up the things that I've got in my haul recently. The NYX Marshmallow Setting Spray. We're going to put that to the test here soon. The e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush. I got the shade Dusty Rose. I cannot wait to try that out. And something I have never tried, and you're going to be like, what? I've never tried the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser, the shade 1 of 15. So those are just a few of the random products that I've gotten recently that I cannot wait to try out on camera. Let's go ahead and jump in. I went ahead and curled my lashes. I've been doing the like warm it up with the blow dryer trick, and I really enjoy the results. That's all I've done so far. My skincare, I did my eyelashes, pulled my hair back, still wet, fresh out of the shower, and I used my Rare Beauty lifting gel, which technically is new because I got like 3 backups in my haul video, but it's not new to my channel, so whatever. First new product that we're going to try together is the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist Eye Primer. There are people that rave about this, and this I have tried. A lot of these things I've not tried yet, but this one I could not wait because there's so many people that swear by it that it just got me so curious. I couldn't wait to use it. This is a Laura Lee Los Angeles brush, the L38. It's just like a large brush. I'm just going to use that to kind of lay this down. And what I'll say that I feel so far about this product is that it gives a little bit of coverage. Like as you can see before and after, it's given a little bit of coverage. It's kind of evening out my blue and purple veins a little bit, but it's not providing a lot. But it does give you a nice base for eyeshadow. I feel like every time that I have used this product, I've used it a few times, and every time I've used it, everything works well. I just don't feel like it's like revolutionary or out of this world. Oh my gosh, you have to run and get it. It's not one of those type of products, but there you can see I blended it out with a brush, and I always do this with any eye primer. I will take my damp sponge. This one's from Real Techniques, the Miracle Concealer Sponge. And I just like to go through and press it down. So let me close my eyes. You can see before and after of the Rare Beauty. It's decent. It's not bad. Now go ahead and prime both eyes, and then I'll do my eyeshadow. The Rare Beauty Always an Optimist eyeshadow primer is $21 for 0.1 fluid ounce. I purchased mine from Sephora at Kohl's because it's constantly going in and out of stock on the Rare Beauty website and at Sephora. I just take whatever is on the doe foot. I don't go back in for more. I don't try to build it up. I just don't want to waste it because there's not that much product in there. But I like using this brush. This is the first time I've used this brush to spread it. And I like it because it is flat, and you can just kind of spread it around, but then you can turn it like this and use the fluffy end to really get near the lashes in the inner corner. So yeah, I quite like this brush for applying eye primer. See, I mean, you just try new things, you never know. I'm just going to use my Jaclyn Hill little powder palette. I've just gotten a routine of using this to set my eye primer. And I'm just going to set it lightly like I always do. I go in between all 4 shades with my brush. I just kind of tap in all 4 shades. And then I'll use whatever's on the brush to lightly set down that eye primer. Beautiful. For eyeshadow, we're going to use the Morphe 35 TE Tease the Season Artistry palette. This is one of my newest eyeshadow palettes. And we're going to create a pretty simple look today. It is very pretty. But I'm not doing anything today except for cooking dinner. So I'm not going to do anything extravagant. But I am going to grab some of the BK Beauty new brushes that I got for hooded eyes. These 2 are extras. These are the hooded eye set. And we're going to use all BK Beauty brushes today to create this eye look. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you on screen the image of the palette, and I'll circle each one that I'm using. It's just easier that way and quicker. I'm going to go into Beauty Secret on the 202, and we're going to lay that down as our transition. So I'm taking this brush and kind of just placing it almost like stipple motions out in the outer part first, and then I'll drag it inwards, and that's going to be our transition shade. Now I'll start to soften it and blend it. I will say this shade is a little darker on the lid than it is in the pan. I didn't think it was going to be quite so dark, but that's okay. I'm going to go into the next one beside it, Laid Bare, the same brush, and I'm going to try to soften the edge a little bit. Very softly. Just go back and forth windshield wiper motions, but very light pressure. And I'm just kind of diffusing the edge of that a little bit. And now I'm going to go into the lightest shade in the palette, which is Your Gift, the lightest matte shade. Same brush. And I'm just going to take that right under the brow. Do the same technique, just very soft. And that's just kind of diffusing and blending it all together nicely. Okay. I'm going to use the 201 brush, and I'm going to grab Undisclosed. It's down here in the bottom corner. Just grabbing a very small amount of that on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to pack that right out here on the outer V. Adding a little bit of depth out in the outer V helps lift your eyes. And I'm using a fluffy brush for this today just because I want it to be very soft and well blended. I don't want any harsh lines, just very simple. I'm going to switch to the 203 brush, and I'm going to pack a little bit of that same color, but this is more of like a packing brush. It's very small, but I'm going to pack it near the lash line, pack that color down, and then turn my brush up into my crease. And same thing, just kind of building. The Morphe 35 TE Tease the Season Artistry Palette. Original price is $28. This was on sale at Ulta for 50% off, and I was able to use my extra 20% off discount code. So I paid $11.20 for this palette. I've never been obsessed with a Morphe palette, but I can honestly say that this formula performed well. Now I'm going to go back to the 201 brush, and I'm just going, no more product on it, and I'm just going to try to blend it out a little bit, soften it. But mainly keeping the product where I placed it, just kind of blending it out. I'm going to use What's Inside, which is a nice gold. And with Morphe palettes, I find that sometimes you need to either use MAC Fix Plus or a glitter glue in order to get them to be like really impactful, but this is working pretty well with just a brush. Like, it's given decent. Let's see what it'll do with a finger application. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when I add a little Fix Plus to the situation. So I'm just taking it on the same brush, and now I'll spray it. And then let me get close for you to see. And now that the lid is a little bit damp, I'm going to go back in with my finger and press all around to get that gold to really pop. Let's go into Very Revealing and see what that looks like as an inner corner shade. It's very revealing. It's like a white champagne-y color. And it's blending into the gold pretty nicely. Let me see what this Expertise looks like in between the two. Yeah, I'm going to put the Expertise in between the two and then kind of just blend them together. Pretty. And then we'll add some eyeliner and smoke it out a little bit here in just a minute, but that's basically the eye look right now. And let me do the other eye and I'll come back and we'll do all the other stuff. What I'm gonna do is wipe away any fallout and kind of go at an upward angle there to make that lifted look. Look here, a little bit of fallout, not much. Most of what that is me wiping out here. Very minimal. The liner I'm going to use from my haul is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in the shade Limitless Brown. Now these are minis, so they are small. Keep that in mind. We're going to use this today to do tight lining. And as you can see, it's very, very sharp. I'm going to use this just on my upper lash line, my upper waterline, basically. This is a really nice formula. If you've never tried the Makeup Forever pencils, they're really good. I love them for eyeliner or lip liner. They work well either way, which is unique. I like that. I'm just going to take it right like that. And that is it for the liner itself. I'm going to use some shadow now to lay that down. But as you can see, it does a really nice job. The main reason I picked up the brush set from BK Beauty was the 208. The little mini precise angled brush, and it is the most precise angled brush that I've ever seen. Now, I'm taking eyeshadow. I'm not going back into that Morphe palette because it's so big that I like to just grab something small. This is from Pat McGrath. It's just so small. It fits right on my vanity, no problem. And I'm just taking the darkest shade from that palette. And I'm going to take this 208 brush and I'm going to make myself a little wing out here. You could use tape for this if you have a hard time getting a nice straight line. You could take some tape, but because I already used the baby wipe to make that sharp line, that kind of gives me the guide that I'm needing And I'll just take this and press it right about there, and then connect everything. And I just want a very small little baby wing. And there you can see it does a really nice job. This brush is like perfection. And get right in there. And the reason I like to use a shadow is it really helps the longevity of the liner, in my opinion. You can see after I'm done and before. It just does a little something. The next new product, though, I'm going to use is the REM Beauty, the Cooling Blurring Under Eye Balm. Looks like this. I have used this a couple times, and you just want a very little bit. I like to do it now because I've already wiped away all my fallout, and it just kind of helps rehydrate my under eyes. And what I can say is that I do notice that it smooths, and it does feel cooling when you're putting it on. I don't really notice much in the way of blurring. Like, I don't feel like it's a bad product. I don't know if it's necessarily doing much, but that's what we're here for, is to try it out. The primers I'm going to use today are the Makeup Forever Step 1 Primer. I've got the Shine Control and Pore Minimizer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Shine Control first. Ooh, it kind of spewed out at me. We're going to try that amount first, see what happens. And I'm going to do it kind of like out here on my cheeks. Rub that in. Okay, it feels kind of mattifying maybe. Yeah, a little mattifying. A little, didn't go very far, so I'll grab a little bit more. These are the mini size. I think they were $14 or so on sale. But I think they're regularly like 20 bucks a piece for these little minis. So I'll put a little here on my chin and just a very little bit right here because I'm going to use the pore minimizer. It is thicker coming out, and it's like a Benefit Professional color. It's got a tint to it, and it feels more moussey. But we're just going to use that in the center of my face where my pores are the largest. Will definitely say that it has smoothed and blurred really nicely. I used a little bit of the Benefit pencil now, and then I'll use the next brow product at the end once I've completed my base. Yes, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna use a very little bit of this, and I'll come right back because you've seen the Benefit pencil. You know what it does. I'm just gonna use this to fill in a very little bit. When I meant little bit, this is how much. Like, because I have another brow product I really want to test out, so I just wanted to do a little fill in. Now I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Hella Thick Mascara. This is not new to my channel, but it is a new tube, and it was definitely in my haul because it's my favorite. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. It's freaking amazing. So I've just done one coat. Now I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm just going to kind of comb through. Like, I have them squeezed together. I'm not even opening them. I'm just kind of using them to make sure that they are not going to be clumped together. Okay. Now I'm going to go back with my wand and go in with one more light coat. Let's move on. The Iconic London Super Smoother Blurring Skin Tint. I have it in the shade Warm Light. Now, I could not decide what shade to get. I almost got Neutral Light because I'm a neutral leaning person, but it looked like it would be a little too light. So I went with the warm. And it looks a little light, but we'll see. Shake well before use. Super smoother blurring skin. That's really all it says. I'm going to put it on my mixing plate. Hopefully that'll be enough. Use the BK Beauty 101 foundation brush. And then I'll use the Stands Out sponge too. But the shade again looks a little light, but because it's got that warm undertone, hopefully it'll match my soft tan. And I don't know how much to use since it's a skin tint, but we're going to start with that. Okay, the shade looks good. Probably a little lighter than I would have wanted, but it looks fine. And I think it'll match everything once I have it all blended. It'll be all right. I will say that day 2 of the 45 days of foundation was the Maybelline skin tint, and I loved the way that wore. Like, for a radiant, more natural finish, it looked really good at the end of the day. So I'm hoping this will be a very similar story. I'm just going to start with that. It's giving coverage. It's definitely giving coverage. I would say light to medium coverage. Maybe light to light medium coverage. I don't know. We'll see right here over this. It's trying to cover it. I don't hold anything against it for not. It's a big pimple that I have going on down there, but it's definitely not full coverage. It's more light medium. But it's blending and making my skin look very even. Smoother skin tint all over, and then only did it like down here for testing purposes so you can see the difference. I never take any foundation under my eyes because I want to leave that open for concealer. You don't want to have too much product under your eyes. I think this is like a natural satin finish. It's not blurring in my opinion. It's definitely accentuating my pores that I had pretty much blurred with the primer. Like through here, I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty blurred from that primer. But once I add the skin tint to it, it'll definitely accentuate the pores. But with powder and everything, it'll be fine. I'm just letting you know, it says super smoother blurring skin tint. I'm not getting the blurring effect. I will definitely say it is like evening out my skin. Everything looks nice. I'm just not seeing the blurring aspect to it. Now I'm going to take the Stands Out sponge with whatever product is left on my plate to press all this in. I like to go back through and really press it into the skin. Yeah, it's definitely not blurring, but it's nice. I don't dislike it. I just don't find that it's doing what it's claiming in the name. But maybe once it settles down and everything is nicely blended and everything on top, maybe, just maybe, it'll become more blurring. We'll see. It's very thin formula. It looks pretty good. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm going to use the Give Beauty Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in the shade Toastin'. Now, for this, I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario F4 brush. It has one side that is more small and dense, and then the other side is more fluffy. So what I've been doing is I've been taking the smaller side into the pan directly because it's a very small pan. And I'll just press the product into the brush like that and then apply it. Now I'm just going to use the brush to like lay it down where I would want contour. Like that. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just moving it around to all the areas I want to contour. And you can see, I mean, I packed it in there, but it is going a long way. I have not redipped. There, I think everything's off the brush now. I'm going to add a little more. Now I'm going to flip it around and use the other side to blend. Look how nicely that just melts into the skin. Beautiful. This brush is amazing, but also this product is nice. I really like it. Okay, everything is nice and blended, and I'm liking it. It's a nice cream contour. It's more of like a bronzer shade for me, but we can make it work. It'll be all right. For blush, cream blush, I want to mix two shades. I want to use the Bobbi Brown Pot Rouge for lips and cheeks in the shade Pink Flame. This is what it looks like. And then the Persona Multi Stick in Bloom, which is much lighter pink. I'm gonna mix the two and hope for the best, but I'm actually wanting to try the ColourPop Bronze Stick, but I'm not sure it's gonna add much to what I've got going on here, but I kind of want to add a little bit more. Let's just see. What the heck? Why not? And I didn't do any contouring of my nose yet. Let's see. Let's add a little bronzer. Oh yeah, that's nice. I felt like it was just a little too subtle, but adding the bronzer stick on top is really making it pop. I like that. Oh yeah, that was a nice combo. All right, let's see if I can use this on my nose. Why not? Just a little bit. I didn't do a good job making the lines, but we'll blend it out anyway. It's fine. I'm just turning this brush around. I want to use this end to just kind of gently blend. And it will come together once I add concealer and stuff. But I'm just kind of placing that down. Okay. Let's move on to blush. I'm going to use the same brush. I wiped off the bronzer and contour. Now we're going to use it for blush. I'm going to start with the shade Bloom from Persona. I'm just going to do the same thing. Take the brush, pack the color on. It's a very light pink. But I love the Dream Stick formula. I just feel like this is a very spring summer shade, so that's why I wanted to mix in the Bobbi Brown with it, which is very similar in the tone. It's a light pink, but I think it'll work once we blend it out and add powder. I'm just going to blend those in. Now, this is more of a spring summer shade for me, but it's new and I wanted to try it, and the formula is nice, and we can add powder on top and it'll be just fine. All right, those are nice. The Persona is just a twist it back down situation. Now I'm going to take my Stands Out sponge and just press everything in before I add any powders or anything. Iconic London Radiant Concealer and Brightening Duo. I have it in the shade Neutral Light. And this I have not tried. We've got the brightening crayon on top, and the concealer itself is in this end, and we're just going to use it today. Let's start on one side and just do a couple dots because I don't know how much of this to use. So I like to start small. To blend it out, I'm going to use the Real Techniques concealer brush. It is the brightening concealer, and it's like a soft, fluffy little kitten paw. It's very soft. What I'm going to do is start out here and just tap it in. Okay, it's nice. It's nice and radiant, and it is blending and spreading well. You saw how little of a dot that was, and it has spread to cover the whole outer part of my eye here. Very nice. I like that. It's very natural. Alright, I like to take it up into the inner corner here. And yeah, I mean, this is nice. It's very radiant, but it's not an unflattering radiance, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty. It's given nice coverage for those little tiny dots. I mean, that's nice coverage. Look at that. And now I'll take the Real Techniques Miracle Concealer Sponge and press it in. Look at the difference. That's very nice. Let me get up close for you to see. It's like a very natural, everyday kind of concealer. It's not full coverage, but it's like a nice medium. And the radiance is pretty. Doesn't look drying at all. I really like that. So we're gonna let that kind of sit and do its thing. I'll do the other eye, and then I'll come back and we'll set it. Use the Uma Beauty Trip and Smooth powder to set, like I always do my under eyes. But I'm gonna use a powder brush today. Let's try it. Because I don't want to lose the radiance, so I'm just taking this brush into the powder, knocking some of it off. I don't want to lose the nice radiance that this concealer has. But I want to make sure it's set and it's not going to move. So you can see before. I'm just going to lightly press some powder under here, very gently. So you can still see the radiance, but it looks set compared to this side. Really nice. Let that powder sit there and do its thing. If I need to, I will use a powder puff at the end, but for now, that looks really good. Let's use the powder side of this duo. And I'm going to use my F14 from Shop Miss A because it's a small brush to get in here. See how small the pans are? We're going to grab the powder bronzer, and we're going to set the contour and bronzer with that. I think I'm going to use my Jellyfish palette, which I got custom made in the Leopard palette. I'm going to use a little bit of the bronzer from that to add a little depth right there because it's a little bit warmer. Just to warm it up a little. And now I'll take a little on the side of my nose. Powder blush, I'm going to use the It by Pores in the shade Naturally Pretty. And I'm going to use it on a Rose and Ben C41 brush. I'm just going to take it and set the cream blush. And I'll add a little bit more of that at the end once I do more powder. To set the rest of my face, I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in the shade 05 Fair, which is like the closest I can find to a translucent shade for me. And I just put some in the cap. And I'm going to use my Sweet and Shimmer Powder Puff that I got from Ulta to set right here. And I like to kind of bake right there a little bit. It just gives a slimming effect. I really like it. I'm just taking the powder and setting the rest of my face. This powder puff, they were like on sale, 5 of them for $10 or something. It's all right. It's a little stiff. I actually prefer it to use finishing powder. But it gets the job done just fine. With whatever's left in the cap, I'm going to take a powder brush, swirl it into the cap, and just lightly set over the bronzer and blush. All right, now that that is set, I'm going to go back into my Hourglass bronzer and just add a little bit more. The Give bronzer, the powder bronzer, it's just a little too light. The shade Toastin'. It works, but I like a little bit of a warmer, darker bronze to really kind of contour and bronze. Go back into the It by Pores blush and really pack some of that on. It's probably the closest blush that I have, powder, to those colors that I used underneath, so that's why I wanted to use it on top. Pretty. I want to spray a little bit of the Morphe Continuous Prep and Set Mist, supercharged with ceramides and antioxidants. It is their newest one that is in the gold packaging. It smells lovely. And now I'll just kind of let that do its thing. The brows. I'm going to use the Maybelline Build-A-Brow, and it comes with the brow pen and the sealing gel. So we're going to use the brow pen first, like it says to do. And I have it in the shade medium brown. But first, what I'm going to do is take the other side of the Stands Out sponge with nothing on it, and I'm just going to press in where I use that setting spray. It kind of rehydrates, and I just want to make sure it's pressed in. My skin looks really good right now. Like, it looks really good. All right, let's go with this medium brow pen and make some hair-like strokes. Hopefully it's a good match. I'm afraid it's going to be warm, but we will see. The pen itself is a little flimsy. Let me do some strokes on my hand here. So the color looks decent. It just takes a little more work to get the product out compared to like the NYX Lift and Snatch. I'm used to that one. You barely have to put any pressure. This one takes a little bit of pressure. And it is pulling a little warm. but it doesn't look bad. I don't know if you can see, but I'm like having a hard time getting it to stick to the skin. I mean, it's there, it's just kind of faint. I mean, they do look really natural. I will give it that. But I don't feel like there's much difference between this side and the side that was just the Benefit. There's not that much of a difference. But it's subtle. Let's just move on. We will see how this wears. Alright, it doesn't look bad, you guys. See what that sealing gel does. I'm a little scared. But anyway, this is what the sealing gel looks like. You just pull it out, and it's a little tiny wand, and we're just going to pray for the best. Not bad. They don't look bad. I'm going to do my lips. And I don't know what shade I want to use. I've got my new Anastasia Beverly Hills lip liners. I've got Deep Taupe, Rosewood, and Muted Mauve. And they're all very similar shades. Let's do Muted Mauve. But first, wipe off any foundation. Let's see what Muted Mauve looks like. They're very sharp wooden pencils. Color looks nice. I overlined a little bit, just to see if we can get away with it with this. For lipstick, I'm going to use the Bobbi Brown. This came in a little set with 2 of the crushed lip oils. It's in the shade Cezanne Nude. It looks a little, yeah, I don't really like the color. I don't like that color. We'll see if we can make it work though. The formula feels like a satin, but it does smell like crayons, just so you know. So what I'll do is I'll use the Buxom Full On Plumping Lip Cream on top in the shade White Russian, I believe. Yes. See if this will, yeah, it'll tame it down a little bit. So this is the Plumping Lip Cream. And then I have the Plumping Lip Gloss in the same shade, I believe. White Russian Sparkle. So the cream is in a like frosted glass, and then the gloss has just a glass bottle. So yeah, with adding those two, we were able to make that lipstick work, but on its own, no. I'm going to add a little bit of my Hourglass palette, the shade Opal highlight, right to the end of my nose. Like a little bit right here on the Cupid's bow. Just to highlight that a little bit. And we'll take a little bit on the inner corners. This little tiny brush and do a little bit of highlighter right in the inner corner, just to make that pop a little. Okay, do one last curl of the lashes. Perfection. Last step I want to do is the Lawless Pressed Powder Foundation, Perfecting Powder Skin Smoothing Foundation Powder. Alright, I'm going to use the same little puff. It's the shade Light. And I'm going to do the same thing. And also take it and press it in my T-zone. It looks really nice. It looks very similar to how the Maybelline Skin Tint wore. It's not maximum coverage or anything, but it's nice. It's especially nice for just a day where you're not doing much. The eyes look really good. Everything worked out really well. The only thing I'm not like a huge fan of is that brow pen. But that's because I think the NYX brow pen, I think they just did it right. And it's going to be hard to beat. But I'm taking a little bit of a light shade to just smooth under my brows. Kind of highlighting the brow bone a little. Nice. Do one more round of setting spray. I'm going to use the Cali Ray Surf Proof Setting Spray. This is the mini size. It came with the primer. It's got a beautiful mist to it. Smells like artificial coconut. It's alright. And then I'll let that kind of dry for a second and go in with my Lancome mascara on the bottom lashes. But first, I want to make sure that my under eyes are nice and set, because remember we just did a light dusting of powder, and I would say they are creasing a little bit, but I'm able to press it back down. I'll just take the powder brush with nothing else on it and just lightly dust one more time and hope for the best. Didn't want to lose the nice radiance that that concealer had. I didn't want it to look too dry, so that's why I didn't use a powder puff. But I was going for the more natural radiant look. I'm just going to use my Lancome Lashy Dole on the lower lashes. And we will call that a testing new makeup video. I will do a little bit of a wear test today with these products, and I'll come back at the end of the night and show you how everything wore. I hope you enjoyed the application of all these new products. Okay, so I just wanted to hop on here before I go to bed to do an update, because this is my day 3 of 45 days of foundation. Iconic London Super Smoother Skin Tint. It's been on for about 9 hours, and I look very like radiant from afar. It doesn't look bad, but it's not a favorite. It's kind of breaking apart on certain areas. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it's kind of like losing coverage, especially around the pimple there. But and then Maybelline Build-A-Brow in medium brown. It's not it for me, but it's maybe just a shade thing. I'm not quite sure. But the Iconic London Skin Tint, I'm not sure. It might just be like a summer type of product for me. I don't know if I could pull this off to wear for like a full 12-hour shift. So I'm glad that I tested it on a day where I didn't have to do that. That is my update. As far as the other products that I tested today, everything else was pretty good. The concealer, maybe it's lost a little bit of its coverage. Yeah, I would say it's lost a little bit of coverage, but it wasn't bad. Everything else I liked. It's just the skin tint and the brow product for me are just kind of like, okay. I just wanted to give you that update before I went to bed. Good night. I will see you in my next video.